Okay, hi guys. Sorry for another theory video, and this time again I have a guitar in my hand for it. This is a cool video. I hope going to be. I I thought about it and I realized that there's two kinds of scales and there's two kinds of chords. One I could call big and one I call small. Big and small scales, big and small chords, or you can just call them for how many notes are in the scales of the chords. So first chords, what I call big scales are diatonic scales, 7-note scales. What I call little scales are pentatonic scales, which are 5 notes. And for chords, what I call big chords are 7th chords, which are 4-note chords. And what I call little chords are triads, which are 3-note chords. So we have 7-note scales, big scales, 5-note scales, little scales, 4-note chords, big chords, 3-note chords, little chords. Okay, and then I thought about making like a chart, four places in it, because for two possibilities, for two possibilities, you have four total possibilities. So you have big scales, big chords. I'm going to call that jazz. Big scales, little chords. I'm going to call that classical. Big chords, little scales. I'm going to call that blues, and little chords, little scales, little chords. I'm going to call country. So of the four possibilities, the hardest one, the one with the most notes is jazz, which has 7-note scales and 4-note chords. Secondly, hardest is classical, which has 7-note scales but 3-note chords. And then the third hardest, which is also just about as hard as classical really, is blues, which is 5-note scales and 4-note chords. And then with country is the easiest one, which has 5-note scales and 3-note chords. So let's go over these possibilities and play some of them and see how it sounds and see if you can get the concept, because it's, you know, just to think about it. First, jazz. So jazz has 7-note chords and 7-note scales and 4-note chords. Well, 7-note scales means it's got major scales, diatonic, or sometimes minor, but not usually, but usually major. And then the 4-note chords means most of it is 7th chords, seventh chords, with 4-note chords. Let's hear what I mean. See with that. So, starting with the scale, 7-note scale is a major scale. Let's say try this. B there, and then 4-note chords is 7th chord. So I would go. Okay, and then the scales would be 7-note scales, which are diatonic. Okay, so that explains why the jazz sound is the hardest and most complicated, because it has 7-note scales and 4-note chords, as we have in my system. Now classical. Classical has 7-note scales as well, but usually 3-note chords or triads. Let's see some of that. So for the chords, let's sing in key of A this time. Simple 3-note triads, chords, which are triads, but then the 7-note scales, which is a diatonic scale, which is major and often minor. So they're about the major this time. Okay, there's that. Now the blues has 5-note scales, which is pentatonic scales, and 4-note chords, which are 7th chords. So here, let's do some blues. Let's do it in C sharp. Let that drop again. Okay, now the simplest one of all country, which is 5-note scales, pentatonic, and 3-note chords, triads. So let's try that. Let's try it in G. Okay, so that's sort of cool thing I thought of as far as explaining the different styles of music, at least the fundamental ones, and also why they are complicated or not, and then why they are complicated or not based on the number of notes in the scales and the number of notes in the chords that those styles use. Oof, man, that's a lot to think about. So anyway, guys, have a good day, and talk to you guys later. Rock and roll. Love you.